With enough iced coffee, you'd think I'd be able to do anything. Like function. Wonderful. Welcome back to my nightmare. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think that you were getting the good filming thing today? You're not. You're getting, I totally don't have room on my camera or my phone to keep filming. So you get the camera. So first things first, we're starting out with some fabric, and then I'm gonna immediately have to charge my camera batteries because apparently those are also not doing well. This is a fitted bed sheet. I am going to go around and cut off. I might save a little bit of the elasticated portion for another project I'm working on currently that involves a backpack, because I think it would be really cool to use maybe as a laptop sleeve. No, you know what? That's too voluminous. Never mind. So we're going to cut the elastic off. We're going to cut the corner seams open because fitted sheets always have these corner seams. I like a flat piece of fabric when I'm working with things like this. So we're going to cut the elasticated part off. We're going to cut this seam open. I'm just going to come through just so you have a visual. I'm just going to come through and like literally not even care about the seam. I'm not seam ripping a bed sheet, y'all. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. But I just cut it open kind of like that next to the seam. So that way when I lay it flat, that dart disappears. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to iron that, and then I'm going to iron the shirt that we're going to be working with, and then I'm going to come back. But first, I will charge the camera battery so that I can keep filming. Alright, so I'm watching her video. I'm literally watching Angelina's video while I'm trying to do this because I really want to make sure that I'm following her instructions pretty closely, because I just feel like that's something that is probably good. Like when you're following instructions for someone, you should, or doing a video that someone has done, you should probably follow the instructions. Now she lays her her shirt out flat. I will say that I don't have the biggest workspace, and I'm a bigger, I know that I'm bigger than her. Like I know that I am probably literally twice her tag size. Because she's mentioned a couple times, like very transparently, like what sizes she wears, and I know I am twice what size she is. So I think I may fold it in half. The thing with that, you have to be careful about fabric pleating on itself. There is literally a pleat in the back of most dress shirts. You can see mine here. So I'm not worried about making the straightest cut, because I know that whatever I do, there's going to be some unevenness because of that pleat. I mean, I'm sure there are better seamsters that can figure that out, but I'm lazy. I was told not to say that I'm lazy anymore. I was like kind of scolded about that over the weekend last week, but honestly, I'm a very positive in my laziness. It's okay to be lazy sometimes. There's a work smart, not hard, you know? Like if I'm taking a shortcut, I'm still getting the same result, you know? I'm just taking a shortcut. Why waste my time? Now sometimes being lazy does result in some construction issues, and then, you know, we just address that problem when we come to it. This is a Gap shirt. It's not sewn very well, in my opinion, because I keep trying. Usually you can get it pretty flat, and this one just does not at all want to lay down. So yeah. You're gonna love this. This is the most egregious error I've ever made when it comes to fashion, because these are two colors that do not go together. But I'm going to match this neon yellow with this honey yellow, and that is the look we are going for. I know you already hate it, but I don't care. It looks like she is gonna cut. Now she doesn't use chalk with hers either. She just kind of cuts, which is what I usually do. And it looks like she's trying to save her pocket as well. My issue is that I would like to save my pocket, but unlike a normal shirt, the pocket on dress shirts are bigger, or on Hawaiian shirts I think are a little bit bigger. But I'm gonna try and go kind of like right here, and it might end up in some of the pocket getting lost, but I'm not really worried about it. I just think it's gonna hit me in a funny place, like around my belly if I go lower. So we're gonna go right in here, and this is where we're gonna make our cut. It's about 17 inches up the shirt. Okay, That's how we're doing this. Sweet. And now she adds, I think, 11 inches. She adds 11 inches, I believe. So we're going to need to cut a piece of our neon fabric into an 11-inch rectangle. And honestly, again, this is kind of a large piece of fabric that I cut very unevenly. So what I've done right now, I just doubled it, so I'm making one long rectangle. You want to make sure that your fabric is long enough to match up to your other piece. Since this is a bed sheet, I know it's wide enough. It's gonna, like, look, this thing is twice what it is, so. You just get to a point where you can actually eyeball some stuff. I like longer dresses. I'm gonna go with 12. She went with 11. But I think that I want it more nightshirty. She's calling it a lounge dress, and that's valid. I'm gonna wear this as a dress probably if it turns out right. Angelina uses soap. I think soap is a really good idea for a marking pen. Let's make sure that is 12 inches. Is that 12 inches? Yes, okay. Soap is a really good option. I personally use chalk, like kids chalk. Like go to the Dollar Tree or Michael's and buy a box of chalk like you use for chalkboards. And that is typically what I like to use. This is gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. I believe in us. And then what does she do? Oh, okay, I remember what she does. So she's using something that has a placket. I am not using something that has a placket. I would like to create a fake placket. So I am going to, oh God, this is not gonna work. Excuse me. I'm going to try and do most of what I do off of the side seam. So I'm going to split this side here just a bit. So I'm splitting one little side seam. Once we have the rectangle attached, we're going to go back through and we're going to sew that down. But what I need to do is I'm going to create, because I'm bigger. I feel like some bigger people are going to relate to this. I want to try and make a fake placket so that when I sew this piece to the bedsheet piece, it looks like a button-up shirt, but it's not. So we're going to create a fake placket. So all I need, going through and just making a line. Rulers are pretty good. They're a little bit over an inch sometimes or a little bit under, but all you need to, like, it's a pretty good, like, measuring tool. If you just need, like, a strip, measure your ruler. Easy. And then we're going to make a tiny little pleat on each side of the line that we will then sew down so that it looks like a fake placket. Not even sure I'm going to iron it, honestly. I was listening to Punk Frockers and they were talking about like sewing rules that they clearly break, and I break so many. Like there are just so many. I wonder if people do like test runs. Like, did someone like test run something? Like, I feel like I'm supposed to test run and be like, hey, I tried this once. Now I'm going to show you how to make it. Instead of, this is my first time, so we're going to find out together. Because now I have to redo an entire Dicky tutorial because I didn't take some stuff into consideration. So there we go. That's one side of it. You know, the other thing is like trying to like actually pin on camera is a little hard too. Am I in focus? Like there was a whole part of one of the Dickies tutorial where I was not in focus at all. And I was just like, please refocus, please refocus. Come back to me. This is a good option if you have something that you can get into the top of and you just want the look of the buttons without the buttonholing. Make a fake placket. So like once I top stitch that down, that's going to look like a shirt placket. And then we're going to come through and we're going to put fake buttons on it at the end. So we're going to sew this down, and then we'll come back and attach it to the shirt. Okay? All right, and so this is what it looks like once we've sewn our fake placket. It's completely sewn down. I don't know if you can see that. Focus. Okay, there we go. So fake placket. It does get a little narrower because I didn't measure, but whatever. It's my shirt dress. It's fine. I'm the one that's going to notice. No one else is. That's the thing. People never really actually notice if what you make is good or not. I've been doing this a long time. All right. So I want this to line up. Now when Angelina did it, I'm not criticizing her because she did it really well, but when Angelina did it, she did like, maybe I should. I'll do it the way Angelina did it. Okay, so she did the thing where she like started at one place and went each direction, but since we've already kind of went a little off book here, it's not really that big a deal. I just need to make sure that the plackets line up perfectly, which means I'm pinning, and I pretty much never pin. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start in the center. I'm going to sew this way with a straight stitch, probably also my serger. And then I'm going to sew this way with a straight stitch. And I'm just going to attach the entire long rectangle piece to the shirt. But I'm not pinning it, so I'm not going to show you that part. Okay, cool. So what I did is I did exactly what I told you I was going to do. I sewed this way a straight stitch, I sewed this way a straight stitch, and I attached the bottom to the top. I then serged, and if you'll look around here, I actually did top stitch across to give it a more polished look. It looked a little wobbly without the top stitch, so we just top stitched that. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to tackle the side seams. The side seams on shirts that come from the gentleman's section, clothing doesn't have a gender. I am just going to use that term though, because that's, you know, men's button-ups, women's button-ups. I saw someone the other day that said, instead of saying men and women, we should do, are you an estrogen-based endocrine system, or are you a testosterone-based? And I'm just like, that would be better. So when you get to the testosterone-based clothing, they often have better seams than estrogen-based clothing. Which means they also have these, like, I think they're flat felled seams is what they're called. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. I taught myself. Okay. So they have those better seams. The sad thing is that does make it a little bit harder to kind of put back together. I'm probably just going to top stitch it because I'm lazy. People are like, don't say you're lazy. And I'm like, why? It's true. I'm not. I'm a very hardworking individual. It just, you know, sometimes I like to cut some corners in my personal life. Alright, so here we are. We've got it pretty much laid flat. And I just want to see, I'll mark it since, you know, you're not going to be able to see it on the thing, but I'll mark it. So I'm just following where this original seam from the armpit, can you see that is, and then we're just going to go straight down. Now you could take this opportunity to add a tiny bit of room if you wanted to, but remember you also have to attach the original bottom piece back to the top, so you don't want to attach too much more room. There we go. And peel that out. And now I'm going to, what am I going to do? I went through all this trouble to like keep it nice and keep it original, and now I'm like, ooh, put the bottom on backwards. That'll be good. Alright. I wonder if I can get the whole shirt around this table. Oh no, the legs, never mind. So what I'm going to do, I want to mimic the original seam. So I'm going to kind of just fold along, right? And then just sew them down together. So the original seam, so I'm just gonna, oh, I can't even show you. I'm probably gonna need to iron. This is stupid. So we're gonna iron this inner seam down, and then we're gonna iron this outer seam down, and then we're just basically going to top stitch all the way down. Cool? I'll be back. Okay. So this is an instance where I do have to use pins because we have to make sure that the bottom matches the top. So what we're gonna do is, much like I said in the beginning when Blueprint DIY did this, you wanna just go and you want to match up that the plackets kind of meet. So what we're gonna do is this time we're gonna follow Angelina's way of doing it. And we're going to start sewing here and sew around and start sewing here and sew around. So that way we know that the placket is still centered with our fake placket. So just to make sure that I'm doing that right, I'm just pinning. So I've got right sides together. I've got the bottom inserted into the top. That's what we're doing. Now we're gonna sew it all together, top stitch it, and I will be back. And here you can see that I'm just taking off the buttons of the shirt. This is the bottom of the original shirt. Really just trying to go fast for you for this one because honestly, Angelina does the full tutorial and you don't need me to do a step-by-step as well. So just removing the buttons from the original placket, because what we're doing is I'm just going to make the high-low hem that she has on hers. So I'm just taking that one button off. I'm going to shorten the front just a little bit. And then I'm going to mark where I need to sew, and I'm going to come back and we're going to have done the sewing. So just giving you a little heads up, that's what's going on here. Okay, and then once you have the skirt hemmed, how you like it, and I did the same kind of high-low look that Angelina did, you want to dump your entire button jar out onto your shirt and see about matching up the buttons. Now here I did have trouble finding matching buttons, and I was surprised because I've taken apart quite a few men's shirts. So I was really surprised that I didn't have matching buttons, but I got pretty close. You can't really tell unless you're super close to me, and we're in a pandemic. Why are you that close that you're looking at my buttons? So I'm just sitting here having a good old time while I stitch the buttons on, trying to make sure that they look sort of evenly spaced. They don't really look great. They're not perfect, but they do their job, and I could not be happier with how well this ended up turning out. So just gonna sit here and stitch my buttons on, and then I will come show you the completed animal, I guess. I will say this is not my best work. The shirt is. I could not be happier with how this turned out. I do think I made the high-low a little dramatic, so in the back it is quite a bit longer than it is in the front. Also, because my shoulders are rounded, I find that it pulls backwards, so it looks shorter than it actually is, which is something to take into consideration for those of us with rounder bodies. Sometimes we can't have things that hang the same way they would, just because, you know, my body is round, my shoulders are round, it comes backwards. But I really do love it. I've worn it 3 or 4 times since I made it. I think the colors are pretty cool. I love the middle. I love where it hits me. I don't know. I'm really excited with how this turned out. And I can't wait to try more of Angelina's DIYs because she has some really phenomenal ideas. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.